You know someone who does this. They get into a debate and instead of making a point, they just get louder. They tell you about an article they read, but when you ask one follow-up question, they go blank. They agree with everyone in the room and then complain in the car that nobody listens to them. And maybe, while you were picturing that person just now, a small part of you thought, wait, do I do that? 10 daily habits. Psychology has something to say about every single one of them. A few will let you off the hook, most of them won't, and the ones that won't are the ones that don't feel like problems. There's a comfortable story people tell themselves. Smart people have smart habits. If your habits are messy, that's just personality. No harm done. Except research keeps finding the opposite. Some of the messiest looking habits are signs of a brain working overtime, and some of the most normal looking ones are doing real cognitive damage without you feeling a thing. That's what makes this list uncomfortable. The habits that should worry you don't feel like problems. They feel like Tuesday. Habit 1. Being the loudest voice in every room. Someone brings up a topic, and before anyone else has finished thinking, you're already 3 sentences into your take. The silence felt like a gap. You filled it. Felt good, too. Psychologists call this the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. People with limited understanding of a subject consistently rate their knowledge higher than experts do. The less you know, the fewer gaps you can see in your own reasoning. So you speak with confidence that isn't earned, and from the inside, it feels identical to actual competence. People who genuinely understand something tend to hesitate before speaking. They see the complexity. You skip the hesitation because your version of the topic has no rough edges. It's a smooth, flat surface. And a smooth surface just means you never looked closely enough. Habit 2. Only reading headlines. You didn't read that article. You glanced at a sentence a copywriter wrote to get clicks. And later that week, you repeated it at dinner like it was yours. Someone pushed back and you changed the subject. Researchers at Yale found that habitual headline skimmers consistently overestimate how well they understand complex topics. Their analytical reasoning scores drop over time. The ability stays intact, they've just trained their brain to accept a billboard as a book. And here's the part that sticks. The less you actually know about a topic, the more confident you tend to feel about it. The information gap and the confidence gap grow in opposite directions. One gets bigger while the other shrinks. Habit 3. Everything is either amazing or terrible. Psychologists have a term for this: cognitive rigidity. The brain defaults to binary sorting because binary is fast, good or bad. With me or against me, worth my time or dead to me. It feels decisive, it feels clear, and it saves your brain from doing the slower, harder work of holding 2 things as true at the same time. You can see it everywhere once you know what to look for. A coworker disagrees with you once and they're toxic. A restaurant gets your order wrong and it's the worst place ever. A politician does one thing you like and suddenly they get. People with higher cognitive flexibility can sit with ambiguity. They can think someone is wrong about one thing and right about another without their brain short-circuiting. The binary thinker can't do that. Every complex situation gets compressed into a coin flip. 3 habits in and none of them got a pass. The next one breaks that streak, but the one after it is the habit your friends notice about you before you do. Habit 4. Procrastinating on important tasks. You'll spend 4 hours locked into something that genuinely interests you. But that 10-minute email sits in your drafts for a week. Dr. Tim Peichel at Carleton University demonstrated that procrastination is almost entirely an emotion regulation problem. You avoid the task because it triggers discomfort, boredom, fear of failure, or just enough friction that your brain refuses to engage. People with high intelligence procrastinate more on unchallenging work. Their brains resist busy work the way your stomach resists food it doesn't want. One caveat: if you procrastinate on everything, the important stuff, the fun stuff, the easy stuff, that's a different conversation entirely. Habit 5. Never admitting you're wrong. Someone corrects you. You feel it in your chest before you feel it in your brain. That hot, defensive pulse. And already you're building a counter-argument. The counter-argument has nothing to do with being right. It's about not losing face. You'd rather win a conversation than learn something from it. Cognitive flexibility studies keep landing on the same finding. The ability to update your beliefs based on new evidence is one of the most reliable markers of intelligence. People who get stuck defending positions they've already outgrown aren't protecting their ideas. They're protecting their ego, and the ego doesn't learn. Habit 6. Talking to yourself. Out loud, in the grocery store, while cooking. Muttering through a problem at your desk like someone who should probably be checked on. Psychologists Lupien and Swingley tested this. People who verbalized their thinking had faster recall and made cleaner decisions. Kids do it constantly when they're learning. The technical term is private speech, and it doesn't stop when you grow up. You're fine, move on. That was a breather. The next one won't be. And it's a habit that looks like something else entirely from the outside. Habit 7. Blaming everything on external circumstances. The job didn't work out because the boss had it in for you. The relationship ended because she was impossible. The project fell apart because nobody communicated. Here's the problem with that story. If nothing is ever your fault, there's nothing to adjust. And if there's nothing to adjust, your brain never updates its approach. You just repeat. Same patterns, same results, same explanations for why it happened again. Pay attention next time someone tells you about something that went wrong in their life. Count how long it takes before they mention their own role in it. Some people never get there. Habit 8. Agreeing with whatever the last person said. You're at dinner, someone calls a movie overrated. You didn't think that walking in, but you hear yourself going, yeah, honestly, same. You don't even know why you said it. At work, someone states something you quietly disagree with. Disagreeing means risking being wrong out loud. So you nod. This is acquiescence bias. Your brain has two ways of handling incoming opinions. Form your own position first, then compare or skip that step and match the room. Every time you default to agreement without friction, you're training your brain to stay in passive mode. Over months, the active mode weakens, the same way any muscle weakens when you stop using it. The tricky part is, you probably can't tell when it's happening. It doesn't feel like surrender, it just feels like dinner. The next one is a freebie. The one after that isn't. And it's the one that's hardest to hear. Habit 9. Zoning out mid-conversation. Your brain processes language at roughly 400 words per minute. Most people speak at about 130. That leaves 270 words per minute of spare capacity with nothing to do. So, someone is talking, you're nodding, and then you snap back and realize you missed the last 45 seconds entirely. Researchers link this kind of mind wandering to higher creativity and stronger default mode network activity. Your brain was working on something during those gaps. It just decided the conversation wasn't it. That's processing power, allocated somewhere you didn't choose, which, depending on the conversation, might be fair. Habit 10. Making the same mistake and expecting a different result. Same type of person. You already know how it ends before the first real argument, and you go anyway. Same shortcut at work that cost you time last quarter, same fight with the same friend, same words, same silence afterward. And each time there's this moment where you think, this time will be different. It never is. You know it won't be. You go anyway. Behavioral learning research is blunt about this. The ability to adjust behavior after a bad outcome is one of the most basic markers of cognitive function. Rats adjust. Pigeons adjust. When a human keeps choosing the familiar option after it's failed, the feedback system has broken down. The data came in, it got processed, and then it got overruled by comfort. 10 habits. 3 of them turned out to be your brain doing exactly what brains do. 7 of them didn't get that pass. And the line between those two groups has nothing to do with how fast you think or how much you've read. It's about whether your brain is still generating its own conclusions or just running familiar patterns because they're warm, because they're easy, because they never once asked you to change. You already know which of those 10 felt like relief, and you know the ones that didn't.